Welcome, folks. Luke here. I just wanted to come here on this Sunday evening and help answer a few questions. I know we'd had a few things that people were asking recently. Please do pardon my voice. I've had a rough week with some illness, and so it is definitely not. My voice isn't working as well as it could, or even should. So please do pardon that. But I wanted to bring up a couple of things, address a couple of things that I've kind of seen going around as, I guess, questions or maybe even misunderstandings within, different circles, especially concerning FundMyComic. There's a lot about FundMyComic that we don't talk about, the nuts and bolts, the boring stuff. And so I think the lack of understanding, sometimes people will start to speculate, and then those speculations becomes rumors, and those rumors become gospel. And I just wanted to cover a few of those things so that everybody is really clear about kind of the nuts and bolts and the infrastructure of what it is that we're doing here and why it's different and why we chose to do it. I know the first question that I get is like, well, why have you done, like, why do this anyway to begin with? And so what I wanted to address with that, and also feel free to think about your own questions and ask those, and we'll address those here soon. The first thing that I wanted to address, though, was, why do this anyway? Well, it was because of a faith issue for me. I understand that Christian conservatism is not widely accepted or even or liked in a lot of these quote-unquote mainstream areas. In fact, we know that part of the reason why Tucker Carlson got taken down off of Fox News was because he mentioned God and faith, and we know that the guy in charge there says don't talk about those things. He's adamantly against them, and so I wanted to have an opportunity to stay connected with fans and potential fans through crowdfunding without the fear of being, canceled, with this kind of cancel culture thing. And so I looked into a couple of different methods. I looked into WordPress sites. I looked into Shopify plugins, and I looked for a few different things. And ultimately what it come down to is I already had a website through Squarespace that was doing very well and had a lot of traffic to it already. And so the LukeStoneStudios.com was doing quite fine. And what I wanted to do was be able to plug in something else from an infrastructure into my website. Nothing allowed me to do that I felt was good enough, to be quite honest. I didn't want to switch to a WordPress because WordPress is the most hacked kind of websites that are out there, and they're notoriously not secure. And if I'm going to be dealing with, a lot of my own money and other people's money, giving it to me, I didn't want to use a WordPress site. Now, Shopify is very secure. It uses Stripe, just like what we've chose to do here with FundMyComic, which I'll get into a little bit more here in just a second. But but it wasn't going to be compatible with my website, and I didn't care for the features of the plugin. I just felt like what I wanted to do ultimately, it was a little bit lacking. And so I wound up looking for a white label company. It's a developer, and they market themselves as as a white label infrastructure for crowdfunding. And they had a few different hosting plans, which were pretty reasonable. The big business one is not very reasonable, which is really where, FundMyComic has ultimately ended up. But to start with, I wanted to test out this infrastructure because I could plug it into my own website, and it felt secure, and there were features that were there that I liked. And so I used them and tested it on my own website with a crowdfunding campaign, and it worked, and everything funded right. And then I wanted to start kind of going outside of the box of what is, kind of the open box of coding that they that they kind of lease to you. And I wanted to start adding things and creating more functionality. And so that ultimately is where we started going with that. And it was upon research from other people that kind of saw what I was doing that we found out that we could easily host more people. And so the original intent was to host myself and maybe my friends and a few people that I knew, to closely guard the perimeter, if you will. So that was kind of the initial plan. But what came out of all of that is we started seeing more and more shadow bannings and things taking place like that. And the need for an alternative was there, but I didn't want to make an alternative that was just a clone. I wanted to make something that was actually intended to be very helpful for people that do what we do. Pardon me. And so I wanted to make not a clone, but a true alternative, something that was unique in and of itself. And so that's where the real journey began. And so when we started doing that, we quickly departed from the out of the box kind of coding thing that we were offered, and then started really adding on and paying to have the code adapted for us, which is doing really well, actually. What's that? I'll get a quick question here. Let me check that one. I have a question. If a campaign doesn't fund within the allotted time, do the backers get refunded? Yes, I'm going to hold off on that for a second. Let me go ahead and finish what I'm doing, but I will answer that because there are two answers to that. So anyway, as I was saying, we started doing that. So the infrastructure for FundMyComic it's hosted on its own servers. It's been partitioned and allocated, and these servers are big boxes, and there's multiple servers around the world that host these things. Of course, this company also hosts crowdfunding stuff for corporations, for charities, and different things like that. They use their service. They lease their service out to other people. Those are separated. They're partitioned off. So that traffic has never an option for it to ever cross streams with our traffic at all. So the ability to hack it is very difficult with their securities. They have to be secure for what they do. The other thing that is notable about what they do is that this is we literally can do anything that we want with the code as long as we pay for development hours. And so we have invested quite a bit, and we'll continue to invest quite a bit to get us where we want to go as far as the ultimate end use. So when you make a suggestion on, I would like it to do this, or I would like it to do that, we're compiling all those things, and we're figuring out what is the most important thing to achieve first. And then we're prioritizing those things because it all costs dollars in the end. And so that's where your 3% platform fee goes. It goes for our regular hosting, and it goes for our upgrades. And hopefully in time, it will be enough to help offset some of my and Todd's time and some of the employees that we would like to hire to help serve everybody. So that is where that 3% goes. But the infrastructure is very secure. Now we have partnered with Stripe. Stripe is the other half of the infrastructure for payment. We do not keep, and people have asked about, the other question people have asked has been about security of data, of information. So we don't store a great deal of information, to be honest with you. Your address is stored, but nobody on our end actually sees your address. That's actually stored into the server, and that information is given to the project managers via APIs. So they communicate with that information that's stored to your account. So it's stored on your account. That is communicated to the project manager via the APIs for their information when they would download the CSV file in order to handle fulfillment. And so when you decide to delete your account or cancel your account with FundMyComic, that gets deleted, and all of that information associated with it also gets deleted. And no one actually sees your ad, as opposed to Indiegogo, where I can go to my backer dashboard, my back dashboard, and look at my backers. The address is actually visible on the site. There's nowhere on the site that your address is visible except for in your account. Even the backers, even the project managers, when they look at your transactions, that information is not visible there. That information is fed into a spreadsheet for them. So that is, we try to be very secure with that and very upfront with that. We're not selling anybody's information. We don't care to sell anybody's information. We don't have algorithms that are combing and scanning things. This is all done by people and individuals. We try to keep it very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very boutique, if you will. So we're not keeping a lot of that information. All of your payment information is stored on Stripe, and it is Stripe that communicates with our infrastructure. So the company that we use is actually partnered with Stripe so that this works this way. And we have decided to do payments in a couple of different ways. So this actually kind of gets into General Piggy's question a little bit. So for payment processing, I know people's like, well, I'm worried that there might be a glitch in the system and money might get lost. Our infrastructure and the payment infrastructure are separate, but they communicate with one another. So we actually use Stripe, and the reason why we decided to use Stripe and not PayPal was because PayPal has been affected in the past by people that are politically motivated. We saw this with Eric July. When he was funding, PayPal gave him trouble. Stripe did not. And so as long as you have your terms of service ironclad and you're doing everything that you need to do and all your paperwork is correct, Stripe is not likely going to have a problem with you. And so that's what we decided to do. And so we went the route of Stripe, and how we work, it's what we call a Connect account. So we operate as a hub that is a lot like Lyft or Uber, and you are actually a subcontractor under our hub. And so when someone creates a transaction, what happens with that transaction is that card information is on their Stripe. They're doing it through Stripe. That money actually never hits our account. It comes to our hub and then is distributed down into your account. So unlike Indiegogo and Kickstarter, where there are where they create escrows under their own accounts and then disperse that money after it's collected, a bit of interest. We don't actually do that. Your escrow is actually your account. So when you create that Connect account as a creator, you'll notice that you can actually log into Stripe and see all of your information there. And so in that information, how it works is when it comes to our hub, the amount that is tipped will go into our account, and the amount for the transaction fee or for the platform fee will go into our account. The rest goes down into your account. At that point, the only thing that we can do is either refund that money to the person who gave it to you, or disperse it to your bank account. Those are the only two things that we can do with that money. And there's rarely ever a glitch in that. I say rarely. I want to say never, but because I feel like that's too definitive of a statement. I have never known of a glitch in that for as long as Stripe has been out. But there's a first time for everything. But given its long track record of success and its security, we don't expect there to ever be a problem with payment processing. In fact, there were 30 campaigns on the campaign live at one time, and at least 15 of those were receiving funding, and many of those are actually on a regular payout basis. And so to kind of get to General Piggy's question, because this does fall into the finances thing. We decided to set up our system to work in two different ways, and because this was really based off of community input. Really, people like that Indiegogo takes money right away, but then some people like that if it's a campaign that is not going to take all the money at the end, if they have to reach a certain goal, it's nice that I never even have to worry about a refund or a transaction with that. So we run in two different ways. We have three different kinds of campaigns that you can run. You can run a all or nothing, which is very much exactly like a fixed campaign, or what Kickstarter does, where they don't give you the option of a flexible goal, right? So we have that method, and with that method, we decided to not charge the cards until the campaign has successfully funded, at which point then it will capture. So if you've backed a project that is an all or nothing and it is not funding, you don't have to worry about a refund at all, because it never actually hit your account, okay? The other way that we do it is if you're running a keep it all, which is like a flexible goal, or a continuous campaign, which is like an in-demand or a storefront. Those payments are processed immediately. So the money immediately comes out of your account, because the creator is keeping the money no matter what the end result of the campaign is. They have a goal in mind. They want to hit X amount of dollars, but they are going to make the book happen regardless of that. So we actually start paying the money out almost right away for them as soon as the money is available. But there are some that request, hey, don't pay it out until the end of the campaign. I don't want to worry about it. But some people want those resources now, because they're actually using that money to pay their artist and pay their production team, so that they keep production moving and flowing smoothly. So if it doesn't fund and it's allotted time and it is a keep it all, you wouldn't be able to do a refund on that either way, no matter where you are on either platform, because it is the only way you would be able to process that refund is by talking either to the platform within 5 business days per our terms of service and our refund policy, or after 5 days talking to the creator. The creator can then manage that refund for you, because there's a good chance they've already gotten the funds into their account and could be using that for production. Okay, so that's kind of how we do that. We run 2 different ways. So if you see that it's a keep it all, we're processing transactions immediately, and funds are filtering out to the creators as they need them. They don't have to wait till the end of the campaign for that to happen, and they can decide to issue refunds at whichever point in time they see fit to do so. If they need to do that, if they decide that I'm going to abandon the project, they can do it then. But we work with the creators pretty closely, so that we make sure that we're not going to have any, potential issues with that. So that, we really try to help the creators understand what kind of funding goal they need, what kind of funding amount they need, and we ask a number of questions, and leading questions, and sometimes outright directing them that, like, hey, this is probably a better option for you than this. But so that's kind of how that works. So our infrastructure is super sound. It's not as easy as what people think. And yeah, there are companies out there, and you can even go to the company that we use. And I've mentioned their name in the past, so it's easy to find out who they are. But I've kind of stopped doing that now, just so that they don't get bothered by new people coming in with all the stuff that we're actually trying to do. And we, we don't. If we upset someone, we don't want them to go try to find them. We want to try to make it at least a little more difficult for them to go and complain to somebody else. Which even the complaints won't do anything, because, because of our contracts and the way things work. You can complain to them about what we're doing, and it's not going to do anything with our hosting. They don't really care. So, but you could easily go to their to their service, to their website, and buy hosting. You could do that. Very easily you could do that. But you would also have to then find lawyers and bankers and accountants to help you with the terms of service and working up all of the things for Stripe and all those things. And then you also have to take in consideration the amount of features and things that we've already added and changes that we've made to the base code for ourselves. So FundMyComic is not just like going to WordPress. It's not like going to Shopify, and it's not a plugin. It is a standalone piece of code that is on its own servers and secure. And so I've heard a lot, and those were the rumors that are like, well, it's this or it's that. We decided to do this the right way because we wanted to have a parallel economy. And I hear a lot, it was like, oh, well, we shouldn't secede ground in the culture wars. Unfortunately, folks, I don't feel like my business is where I'm going to fight a culture war. The culture war for me is fought in my home. It's fought in church, in the pulpit, and it's fought in my prayer closet and in my communities, getting involved in my community. That's where the culture war is really taking place. If we have to call it that right now, which I think we do. But we are not gatekeeping on FundMyComic. There is some keeping of the gate. We do have community standards as far as community, like public decency standards is what I want to say. So we do have no nudity, and we do keep an eye on violence, and there can't be any abusive language. And so we monitor campaigns for those things. But outside of that, if you want to make an anti-Christian book, that's fine. You don't have to share my faith. If you want to make a pro-gay book or an anti-gay book, we have full freedom of expression, full freedom of speech, and that's what we wanted, a truly free platform so that people can kind of build up their own economies. So one of the other questions that we asked about is like, well, why are you taking a platform fee at all? And the reason why we take a platform fee is simple. This takes a lot of time and a lot of money. Like I've already mentioned that we are not on some base simple plan with the company that we work with. Our hosting is quite vast at this point. And the amount of changes that we continue to make to the code to better serve you has cost a lot and will continue to cost a lot with some of the things that we want to implement. So we were initially going to try to do a 2% platform fee, but that was just not going to be a sustainable model for us. It was going to wind up hurting us long term. So we decided to go with a 3% platform fee, which is still very fair, I believe, and allows you to keep more of your money. We also don't discriminate against people that come over from another platform and want to run a storefront for us, with us. Those people will still only get a 3% platform fee. Which brings me to the fourth question that I get a lot. It's like, well, why another crowdfunding platform? Well, it's FundMyComic is not just a crowdfunding platform. It is actually a one-stop shop for comics and games and things like that. I believe that a centralized website or some centralized store is very good for the community and what we do as far as indie comics goes. For instance, most of us bought our comic books growing up from a comic book shop. That is a centralized store where people would go and buy books and games and be introduced to these new products that maybe they hadn't seen before. It's very easy for all of us just to go ahead and build our own websites right now and to host from our own site. It is very possible to do that. Shopify, like I said, is very secure. But if you happen to say or do something that people don't like, and they can be influenced. And I would hope that you wouldn't, be taken down from something like that. But it is possible. With this, we kind of wanted to make sure that you weren't. But we didn't want to do just another crowdfunding website. So we do operate this in two ways. It can also be your digital storefront. So let's say, for instance, you've been trying to think about how to make a commerce plugin. Maybe you have a WordPress website and you're looking at the WooCommerce plugins, which quite honestly I'm not a super big fan of, but they can work, right? But you want to be able to run your stores, you want your product. You can actually keep your website and put up a storefront, put up a comic book on FundMyComic, and then use a widget to plug that into your HTML. So we've kind of thought about this idea of like, you can even use FundMyComic as almost white label for your own website to be able to process all of the stuff that we do in the background is being taken care of for you, so that you don't have to worry about that. And it's secure, and that it's handled well. And so we wanted to make it more than just a crowdfunding website. So you can crowdfund, or you can have a storefront from it. You can sell product from it. And we wanted it so that it was centralized, so that people that were into these kind of things could actually come in and browse and search and check the shelf for new product. So we know that, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, they obviously have a lot of people visiting those sites right now. They got a lot of traffic. But in time, we will have a lot of traffic as well. We're already starting to see those numbers boost. In fact, in the last week, we had, I think, we had 1,900 new first-time visitors to the website, which is huge. So here's a question, I guess. Dude, I am so sick of the shadow banning on IGG. I've backed 3 projects in the last 2 weeks, and every single one was incredibly difficult to find. Had to look for the creator's Twitter to get links. That is terrible. And, that's why we kind of jumped up and went one step further. Instead of keeping this, kind of for ourselves and our little group, I was very inclined to just keep it for me and my friends, some of the Genesis Crew folks. But it was through input from a lot of people and seeing what was going on with the crowdfunding scene that we decided not to do that and to go this route. And it's been a lot more difficult than it would have been just to keep it private. But I think it's been worth it. I think that right now, that you'll see that FundMyComic is an actual alternative to those things. And I know there's people that are out there waiting to see what comes of it, what happens with it. And I totally understand that. I know there's a lot of questions, but I just wanted to, hit you up today and answer a few of those questions that I had been getting or had been filtered. Pardon me. I'm so sorry. That had been filtered to me through back channels. I wanted to address some of these things so that you know that FundMyComic is super. It's unique in and of itself, and it is secure, and it is something that you can trust. The third pillar of our website is trust, and so we want to make sure that you understand how the nuts and bolts and how the technicalities of things work. So there are a lot of really boring technical things that are in FundMyComic, but outside of that, it is kind of a fun site to visit and to go to. But if you have any questions, and hopefully, General Piggy, I answered your question. Let me know if I answered that well enough for you, or if you need additional clarification. Please feel free to ask any questions now at this time. While you're doing that, I'm going to play a trailer for something, and then I'm going to get a drink of water. So let me find the trailer. Hold on. There's one.
Hey, you! Are you tired of lame-ass stories for kids? Well, don't be a moron. Walk through that door. What's wrong? Don't be a sissy baby. Just have a look. The Buckler Canadian Tussle. Exclusively on FundMyComic.
I really love those exclusively on FundMyComics. We're going to see a lot more of those coming up here soon. So we're very much happy to be offering an alternative for people and helping people find an easier way to make a living doing this stuff. Taking less money, offering more opportunities with all of those things. So if you guys don't have any questions, hopefully I've been able to answer your questions well enough. I do appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight and stopping by. Please go by and check out FundMyComic right now. We've got some really great projects up there. Let me go ahead and share just real quick our homepage and what's going on with FundMyComic. We have some brand new books that have arrived this week. Right now we have Raid of the White Leopard, which is live on FundMyComic. It's already at 60% funded, and they just launched on Friday night. A very great looking campaign, doing quite well. We also have the Buckler Canadian Tussle, which is an exclusive. Both of these are exclusive to FundMyComic. Fall of Man #2, I believe, is also exclusive. Most of you have heard of the Mythicals. If you haven't by now, you should definitely check that out. It's a great looking project. And Hojo is I think he's like the gold standard for campaigning right now. We've got a lot of things going on here. Yeah, the Fool's still up here. We got Titan Mouse by Gary Shipman. Chet Festive has his Man I Am up there. We've got some really good stuff, some things that just extended, and we have some things that are ending in the next few hours. So yeah, and this is just the featured picks that we have available right now. So that's what's going on with FundMyComic. Go by, check that out. Check out one of these great new campaigns that's up live. May is coming, and it's going to be a huge month for us. Keep your eyes out, keep your eyes peeled for some really, really cool projects coming up in May. Are there any restrictions based upon the country a person may be in? No, right now there's no restrictions as long as you can create a Stripe account. That is the only thing. So if Stripe allows you to process transactions, then you can plug in to FundMyComic. So there's no limitation at all to that whatsoever. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I am going to go ahead and get off of here and rest my voice because I have still plenty of work to do tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I hope that you all get a chance to check out FundMyComic and maybe launch your own exclusive project over there very soon. So with that, have a great day and God bless you guys.